Hey, what's up guys? Today, I'll show you an erotic drama film, 50 Shades of Grey. Spoiler ahead, watch out and take care. The movie begins one rainy morning in Seattle. Shy college student Anastasia is asked by her sick roommate to do an interview for her. She already has a list of questions, and all Anastasia has to do is conduct the interview and get answers from the very elusive and enigmatic bachelor billionaire named Christian. Anastasia gets in her car and drives to Christian's opulent offices downtown. She's welcomed by a bevy of unnaturally attractive receptionists working in his company. One of them leads her to Christian's office door. When Anastasia steps inside, she clumsily stumbles and falls down. Christian is looking out at the magnificent view in his office, and he's surprised by her blunder. He moves forward to help her up, and Anastasia is beguiled by his dazzling looks. Christian is every bit the confident and handsome billionaire that the media makes him out to be. She wants to know more about him and unravel his mystery. Unfortunately, Christian only has 10 free minutes for the interview, so Anastasia would have to make it quick. Unfortunately, Anastasia didn't really do much research on Christian. She doesn't even know that he will be giving the commencement address at her upcoming graduation ceremony. She begins by asking him what's the secret to his success. He finds the question boring, but he obliges her with a reply, saying that he's always been good at analyzing and reading people. She also mentions that he was adopted when he was very young, but Christian does not seem to want to talk about that topic. Anastasia obediently asks all the questions her roommate listed, but Christian is interested in hearing her own opinion. She carefully comments that not a lot of people seem to know the billionaire very well. Christian is astounded by her astute remark. His receptionist opens his office door and interrupts their moment by announcing that his next appointment is already waiting. Without hesitating, Christian tells her to cancel the appointment because he's not done talking with Anastasia. He turns the tables and asks Christian about her own interests. She shares that she is a literature student and that her favorite classical author is Thomas Hardy. The interview ends, and Christian walks her to the elevator. They share an intense look before the doors close. When she gets home that night, her roommate is very happy that Christian had personally emailed his answers to her interview questions. She immediately gleans that Anastasia seems to be having a little crush on Christian and wants to crush her hormones on him. For the next few days, Anastasia can't keep Christian out of her mind. A male friend who is a photographer invites her to attend an exhibition featuring his works. She happily accepts. Anastasia also works part-time in a hardware store. Her mother calls in the middle of her shift and informs her that her stepfather has injured himself and they won't be able to fly to Seattle for her graduation. Anastasia is a bit bummed about this, but she doesn't let her mother know. Suddenly, she sees Christian inside the hardware store. He gives her a searing smile. Apparently, he was in the area for business matters, and he just happened to need a few things from a hardware store. He asks Anastasia for some cable ties, masking tape, and rope. She rings up his purchases and places them inside a grocery bag. Anastasia also mentions that her roommate would like some good original photos of Christian. He graciously offers that he is available for a photo shoot tomorrow. While they're talking, Anastasia's boss comes up behind her and puts his arm on her shoulder, asking her if she needs help. Christian shoots him a dark look, but he doesn't seem to notice. The billionaire slides a calling card toward Anastasia and tells her to call him tonight to set up the photo shoot. The next day, Christian poses for Anastasia's photographer friend. Her roommate is also there, and she remarks that Christian can't tear his horny eyes away from Anastasia. She giddily tells the roommate that Christian had asked her out for coffee after the shoot. They get coffee and sit down at a table. He asks her questions about her childhood. She shares that her parents are divorced, and her mother is a romantic who's been married 3 times since then. Christian then asks her if she was a romantic, and she replies that she has to be one in order to study literature. When Christian hears this, something on his face changes. He cuts the coffee date short and walks Anastasia out. Hurt by his rejection, Anastasia asks him if he has a girlfriend. He coldly answers that he doesn't do long-term relationships. Christian saves Anastasia from being run over by a speeding vehicle on the street. The two share another intimate moment before Christian gently tells her that he's not the man for her. Anastasia begrudgingly accepts this and bids him goodbye. Both Anastasia and her roommate finally finish their exams. They make plans to celebrate with a wild night out at a bar. Before they leave their apartment, a package arrives for Anastasia. It turns out to be 3 first-edition English novels by her favorite author. Anastasia is touched by Christian's gesture, but she is confused by his actions. Anastasia tries to put Christian out of her mind and throws herself into partying that night. The photographer joins the 2 girls, and Anastasia ends up drinking more than she usually does. She falls in line for the bathroom and gets the drunken idea to call Christian. With her inhibitions down, she berates him for being so bossy and lukewarm toward her. Christian is alarmed by how drunk she is, and he tells her to stay put because he'll come for her. Anastasia sobers up and regrets calling Christian. She stepped outside for some air, and the photographer follows her. He confesses his hormone feelings for Anastasia, and he even tries to tongue massage her. As drunk as she is, Anastasia weakly protests against the photographer's hormone advances. Christian arrives at that moment and gets her away from him. Upon seeing the billionaire, Anastasia vomits. He holds her hair and takes care of her as she retches. When she's done, he tells her that he's taking her back with him to the hotel. Anastasia is worried about leaving her roommate behind, but Christian assures her that his brother will be keeping her roommate entertained. Anastasia then faints into Christian's hormone-let-go arms. The next morning, Anastasia wakes up in Christian's hotel room. He had removed her vomit-covered clothes and tucked her into bed. Christian is not there when she wakes up, but she sees that he has left some water and aspirin for her. A few moments later, he walks into the hotel room fresh from a morning jog. She gets the courage to ask him why he sent her those books. He answers that he isn't a romantic like she is. In fact, his tastes are very depraved and specific. He believes that Anastasia is too innocent to understand what he likes. Well, Anastasia is up for the challenge. She defiantly orders him to show her what his taste is like. After she gets dressed, Christian tells her that his driver will pick her up later that night. In addition, she would need to sign some paperwork before they embark on a relationship. He will tell her more about this later. They get inside the elevator. When the doors close, Christian loses his restraint and kisses Anastasia. He slams her smelly ass against the wall as they are passionately tongue wrestling. However, the doors open and a group of businessmen interrupt their smelly moment. When they get back to Anastasia's apartment, they discover that the roommate and Christian's brother had plowed each other's grassy farmland together. It seems that the two have hit it off and are also drawn to each other. Christian's driver picks Anastasia up after work. He takes her to a helipad where Christian is waiting. They get inside a helicopter and Christian flies it to the city. He lands on the rooftop of his penthouse apartment. Christian's spacious apartment is lushly decorated and reflects the disciplined man he is. He shows her the non-disclosure agreement she has to sign. The document ensures that she's legally restricted from publicly revealing anything about her time with Christian. She signs it without hesitating. Christian shows her his playroom next. Before opening the door, he makes it clear that Anastasia is free to leave anytime she wants. The playroom's walls are deep red, a sharp contrast to the sterile white walls of the rest of his apartment. It is filled with various high-tech hormone toys and tools that Christian uses when he plows women's primitive grassy farmland. The truth is that Christian is a dominant who likes to sleep with submissive women and inflict pleasure and pain on them. All the women he's been with before had signed the same contract as Anastasia did, and they all consented to being Christian's hormone partner. He explains that this is the only kind of relationship he is able to have, and if Anastasia doesn't want to partake in his proclivities, then he won't have a relationship with her. In addition, if Anastasia agrees to be his submissive, she will move in with him in his penthouse apartment and have a room of her own. Christian also details that the contract is up for negotiation, and Anastasia can stipulate what activities she is or is not willing to try. However, it's revealed that she is a virgin and doesn't really know what she likes or dislikes in bed. He is surprised by this. That night, Christian and Anastasia consummate their farm work for the first time. He plows her gently and sensually, using his high-tech farm tools. The next morning, she cooks him breakfast. Afterward, he leads her to the bathroom, and they wrestle their muscles under the rain pour together. Since she is no longer a virgin and her farmland is not primitive anymore, it's time for her to be gently eased into Christian's preferences in bed. He chooses one of his silk neckties from his closet and ties it around her hands. He then lays Anastasia on the bed and orders her to keep her arms up. He starts pleasuring her, and she can't help but move her arms out of reflex. Christian chides her for disobeying him and orders her again to stay still. Christian's adoptive mother, who is a doctor, drops by his apartment unexpectedly. She meets Anastasia and immediately takes a liking to her. She invites the two of them to a family dinner next week. Christian also reveals that he was once a submissive too. One of his mother's friends seduced him when he was 15. When he got older, he realized he liked being the dominant more. Anastasia is apprehensive about formally signing the contract because she is scared of fully surrendering to Christian and having him order her. Especially since he's not willing to do romantic stuff with her, Anastasia doubts whether it's worth it. Christian gives her time to read through the contract and do research. She browses through the terms of the contract and finds out that as her dominant, Christian will be dictating what she eats, and she's forbidden from indulging in alcohol and vices. She would also have to call him sir at all times. Days pass and Christian grows impatient, waiting for her answer. He decides to surprise her at her new apartment in Seattle with a bottle of champagne and ice in hand. He ties Anastasia to her bed and blindfolds her. A few days later, Anastasia emails him to convey that she wants to set up a meeting regarding the provisions of the contract. She comes to his office wearing a skin-tight hormone outfit, and they sit down on the opposite ends of a long table. Anastasia asserts herself and tells Christian which parts of the contract she is not comfortable with. As a bonus, Christian adds a new provision. They can go out on a date once a week. Despite this, Anastasia is still hesitant to sign the contract. Her graduation day comes, and Christian delivers his commencement address at the ceremony. He also gets to meet Anastasia's father. Later that night, Christian unveils the new car he bought as a graduation present for Anastasia. She is bowled over by his gesture, but thinks that it's unnecessary to spend that much money. He gets riled up because she rolls her eyes, indicating a violation of their dominant-submissive relationship. He punishes Anastasia by bending her over his knee and slapping her backside a couple of times. She surprisingly finds this pleasurable. However, Christian leaves right after this, and she is left feeling like she can never truly have all of him. The next night, Anastasia tries the playroom for the first time. Christian slowly undresses her and cuffs her hands to a suspension bar. He then lightly runs a riding crowd all over her body. Afterward, he ties her up with rope. That week, they go out to dinner with Christian's parents and siblings. Anastasia casually mentions that she'll be going to Georgia to visit her mother. This is a surprise for Christian, and he doesn't like it one bit. The two get into an argument, and Anastasia scolds Christian for trying to change her. Later that night, Christian reveals that his birth mother was a prostitute who died when he was 4 years old. He had an abusive childhood, and it defined his proclivities as an adult. Anastasia flies out to Georgia the next day. Christian can't resist and follows her there. As a date, Christian takes Anastasia flying on a jet. However, the day is cut short because Christian has a work emergency back in Seattle. Christian's driver picks her up at the airport and takes her to Christian's penthouse. When she arrives, he appears to be visibly stressed out. He instructs her to wait for him in the playroom. He ties her hands and feet to the bed with rope. He also places a blindfold on her. Christian plows her farmland with a whip, and she squirms in delight. That night, they get into another argument. Anastasia is frustrated with Christian's inability to open up to her. She is falling in love with him, and yet she's not sure if he can ever let down his guard. She doesn't understand why Christian wants to hurt and punish her if he really cares for her. He screams that this is the way he is, and nothing can change that, not even her. Christian tells her that if she knew the real him, she would be disgusted. She then dares him to show her the worst punishment he wants to do to her, so she can finally understand him. Christian obliges and bends her over a table. He whacks her backside with a belt 6 times. After he is done, Anastasia recoils from his touch. She is horrified by the fact that her pain brings him pleasure. Afterward, Anastasia cries in her room. Christian comes in, and she confesses that she has fallen in love with him. Christian negatively reacts to this, and she orders him to leave the room. The next morning, Anastasia makes up her mind. She deserves better than a man who seeks to control her. She returns to Christian everything he ever gave her. When she gets into the elevator, Christian tries to go after her. But Anastasia tells him no for the first time, and he stops in his tracks. The movie ends with Anastasia and Christian looking at each other as the elevator doors close, just like the day they first met. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.